That title is not bullshitting you. Let's get into this shit. Hello fellas, Freeman here. So, I do wonder, do you like playing war games, maybe? Do you maybe enjoy playing that Warhammer 40k, or some other interesting war game? No? Why would that be? Are you afraid, perhaps, that you too are going to get reported by police? I'm joking, of course, but that's where the jokes end, because this is some serious tomfuckery. A pupil was reported to police as a fascist for playing historical war game. A historical war game. My lord, that is beyond parody in a fashion that I can't even put into words. Seriously, that is dumb, and remarkably so. Now, before we get into the proper meat of it, I do want to give a slight bit of backstory. It's going to be very quick, though, don't worry. Now, there is a channel out there called Imperator Vespasian. Imperator Vespasian is a channel dedicated to Wargame. They have a lot of videos out there, but they don't have a hell of a lot of subscribers. I'll put their link in the description to the video so you can watch it, and also subscribe. Now, they did upload a video, like I said, a few days ago, talking about some unexpected side effects of gaming. And what do you know? The son, in this particular case, was going to college and talking to his friends about some flags he was going to buy for his historical war game. Now, the historical war game he plays is a British Civil War game, essentially, where various sides are fighting against each other. You have the far left, you have the far right, and you have the royal side, essentially, if I remember correctly. And they are all fighting, of course, for control of Britain. And divided as they all are, there are more factions, I believe. They have their own motives and aggrandizements to try and fight their way through. Now, like I said, one of these factions were far right, which necessitates Nazis. Now, I don't mind that there's a war game with Nazis out there. That's a given. If you're going to be fighting far left, you are probably going to be fighting the far right too. Or vice versa, really. Now, in this special occasion, though, he was talking to his mates at the college about new flags he was going to buy for this faction, for the Nazi faction. And whether it was a teacher that overheard this or one of the pupils that spilled the beans, well, no, I don't know. But this eventually led to teachers knowing about this. And his ass got reported to the police. And not just any police unit. The fucking anti-terror wing of the police department was called in on this guy. Yes, he got the police called on him. Luckily, there is a bit of a happy ending and also a sad ending. Let's just say it's kind of mixed. Because in this whole debacle, there was his mother that got ill during this time. They were not in a financially good spot, as it would seem. And they decided after this whole debacle to sell off most of their miniatures. The interest was lost. Yes, they sold off all their miniatures. That, to me, is really sad. This is one of the saddest things ever. Now, I understand that, even if the mother became sick and they would, sell off their miniatures, I understand there's a great thing here that needs attending to, and miniatures are not on that particular perimeter at the time. So I understand if you need some extra cash on hand and therefore selling the miniatures. But it is also extraordinarily sad that one of these external forces that forces you to sell the miniatures was a fucking school. A school. These are toy soldiers. And they are remarking these fucking toy soldiers as essentially fucking a threat to the general society. Because he's going to be turned into a Nazi. Yeah, he was actually called a bloody fascist for playing a historical, fictional war game. Just let that sit in for a second. Fascist for playing a fictional war game. This is one of the dumbest, if not the dumbest thing I've ever seen. I know Britain is getting very, very strict when it comes to its, knife laws and gun laws and things like that, but this is beyond stupid. This is beyond any form of rational conclusion that can ever be fucking made. I mean, imagine yourself. It's like let's say you're collecting motorbikes, for example. Let's say you have a lot of Harley Davidsons and all manners of various cool bikes you're really proud of. And then eventually you start getting accused by your neighbors for being a fucking MC gang member, part of Hell's Angels or the Night Wolves or something like that. The fuck are you gonna do? And then they call in the police, And it becomes a long investigation that even the police themselves don't want to do, but your neighbor is so wholly convinced about this that he will get you on the spot. And it is so infuriating and annoying that you end up selling your bikes and quitting the hobby because you can't be asked to deal with this shit. That is the saddest thing that can ever be happening to a hobbyist. Holy shit. Now, like I said, that the father's wife was also, getting ill at this time. And according to the article, I don't see how the woman can get ill from this. Maybe it was due to stress. I don't know. I can't speak on behalf of anything in regards to that. And they don't elaborate on it in the video. But, yeah, it's still really bloody stupid. Now, I have linked the article in the description, so you can go ahead and check that. Now, there's one more thing I want to report on, because the ending to this was bittersweet. That was the bitter part. Where's the sweet part? Well, the police themselves agreed by saying that, yeah, this is stupid. They were shocked at the fact that the police, the anti-terrorist wing of the police force, was called in for this kind of minuscule bullshit. Because that's what it was, and they understand it too, thankfully. And even a school governor urged the family to take action against the school, pursue some form of actions against it. Whether they have, will, or not, I do not know. Actually, I do not know. But I can tell you this, and that is that, at the very least, they are now going back to wargaming. They have recently purchased some Warhammer 40k things, actually, the Dark Imperium box set, I think, and they are going to get back into it, which is really happy to see. But, yeah, it's still such a sour event. Holy shit. Now, before we end this video, I want to briefly talk about this whole idea of wargaming being looked upon this sourly, because, and as sad as it is to see that someone was condemned for playing a wargame because they were believed to be, well, almost indoctrinated into a fascist ideal, this is not the first time people are slandering wargames for believing them to be influencing the minds of the young to believe that something bad is actually good. And yeah, like I said, not the first time. Let me show you some. On screen now, and in the link in the description, there will be articles that does talk about wargaming, and that goes into some form of detail or description, talking about how the players are at fault and how the setting makes them bad sometimes, and how in general there are so many bad people in wargames, and it's so bad. It's so bad. And it really saddens my heart. As a hobbyist, I do collect miniatures of 40k in this occasion, and I can't look upon this with a bright smile. Because even though if the teacher in question got reprimands for this, and even though the teacher might have even been fired, okay, the damage has already been done. These people have lost their interest for 6 months, had to sell off their miniatures, and had to, reinvest in it later, but because of the fact that they had lost their interest in the historical wargame. They restarted it at least with 40k, which is something. But it's just so sad to see that they've dropped it because of outer influence. And again, it could also be that they sold it primarily because of the fact that their mother, or wife of the father in this case then, was getting sick. I do not know. But the interest was lost. They sold it, which is just so sad. It is the saddest thing that can happen to a wargamer. And I will link their video in the description. I want you guys to watch it, and I want you guys to give them support, because they deserve it. They are a neat little channel with a lot of video and effort put into it that has lost far, far, far too much at the hands of merely a few individuals. And it's so sad to see. Now give them what they deserve, a proper pat on the back, and, you know, a proper go at it again. So, I think that will be it for this occasion. Thank you all so much for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe and share the video around, and I will talk to you guys next time, whenever that will be possible. Cheers.